Introduction to Metaphysics. The philosopher Immanuel Kant once referred to metaphysics as a bottomless abyss and a dark ocean without a shore, while the American philosopher William James called it nothing but an unusually obstinate way to think clearly. So, what is metaphysics? Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy whose roots stretch back to the time of the ancient Greeks approximately 2,400 years ago, along with ethics, epistemology, and logic. Metaphysics is considered one of the main branches of philosophy, where there is no agreed upon definition of metaphysics. It's often described as a discipline, which is concerned with the ultimate nature of reality. However, to those not familiar with metaphysics, a definition will prove rather vague. So, in order to better grasp its subject matter, it will be helpful to examine the history of the discipline. A few hundred years following his death, around the 1st century BC, Aristotle's works were being published in the ancient city of Alexandria. One of the works published was given the title Metaphysics, which literally means after the physics. This title was not meant to reflect the content of the treatise, as Aristotle had referred to subject matter in it at first the philosophy or theology. Rather, it was given this title because it had followed or come after the publication of a treatise by Aristotle titled Physics. However, due to Aristotle's immense influence, the word metaphysics so evolved from merely being the title of one of his books to become the name of an entire philosophical discipline. What is realism? Realism in philosophy refers to the view that any material objects exist in the external world, the reality of the independently of the human mind. Put differently, realism holds that what one perceives is real and is all there, existing in concrete reality. For example, the maple tree that I see with my naked is existing in concrete reality, and is not just an abstract concept produced by hand, as the idealist would have explained. Hence to the fact that the maple tree exists in the external world, it has properties of its own, such as hardness and thickness. That a maple tree is independent of anyone's perception, it's therefore real. Contrary to modernism, which holds that universals do not exist independently from particulars. Realism holds that both universals and particulars exist independently from each other. On the one hand, in metaphysics, the term particulars refers to the concrete spatial temporal entities of objects, such as a tree or a book. Oftentimes, the term individuals is used interchangeably with particulars, and one of the most distinctive characteristics of some particular is that it cannot be more than one place at the same time. For example, if a specific maple tree is existing in a specific time and place, it cannot be in another time and place at the same time. On the other hand, the term universals refers to the properties or characteristics possessed by a particular, concrete spatial temporal object, such as color or hardness. For example, the whiteness of a book can also be instantiated in the whiteness of rice or paper. Scholars and philosophers believe that it was Aristotle who first popularized realism, or he opposed Plato idealism and argued that the real exists in the sensible world, which can be known through experience. So we can say was Aristotle who provided the fundamental structure and development of realism and its penetration in other disciplines, such as in arts and politics. In the 18th century, however, the Irish philosopher George Berkeley opted for the mental substance position is called idealism and makes the material world dependent on the mental world. Berkeley's atheism can be summarized in his slogan, "To be is to be perceived." Physical object exists only because they are perceived. That sounds very strange. But Berkeley did have an argument for his position. To say why and how Berkeley defended his atheism, we must first look at another Briton, the Englishman John Locke. In his book and essay concerning human understanding, this philosopher made a difference between primary and secondary property, or qualities just as Galileo dig, act, and boil and done before him. A primary quality is a property the thing really is, independent of any observer. For example, a bucket of water has a center temperature, let's say 20 degrees Celsius. Whether we observe the temperature or not, a secondary quality is a property that an object has as it's being perceived. If you threw snowballs with your bare hands in the middle of winter, water with a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius feels warm. But if you have been sunbathing in the summer, water with a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius feels cold. Not a primary property of the water, but depend on the way. So why the water is cold or warm is therefore. Berkeley agree with Locke that whether something is hot or cold depends on the observer. But Berkeley went one step further. According to him, the qualities that Locke considered primary qualities, such as that were secondary qualities as well. If you are an insect, then a dice may seem very large. For us humans, a dice seems very small. Whether an object is large or small is therefore dependent on the observer. And according to Berkeley, we must include that size is also a secondary quality. This applies to properties that Locke believed to be prominent. Thus, all properties of objects depend on an observer. Without an observer, the water is hot or cold, and a disk is not large or small. Berkeley's atheism, however, is untenable. Two important points of criticism demonstrate this. The most important point of criticism is that he does not reason properly. The fact that a pebble is large for an insect and small for human makes the dimensions depend on observer. A disk that has a heat, length and width of 1 centimeter is large for an insect and small for human. But that this dice is 1 cubic centimeter is independent of any observer. Or second point of criticism is Berkeley's vision of the relationship between the mental and physical world to an absurd conclusion. If to be is to be perceived, then there's cake. If it is perceived by someone, what happens to the cake? When nobody is looking at it, does the cake then cease to exist? No practice shows that if you don't look at an object for a moment, it will not disappear. If Berkeley is right, it means that there must be a mental entity that perceives the cake when no one else was looking. This applies to all objects in this world that are temporarily not observed by people. That a mental entity is God. According to Bishop Berkeley, God sees everything. Berkeley therefore believes that it is proves that God must exist. For many philosophers, this conclusion is so absurd that the starting point, Berkeley's atheism, must be incorrect. Due to these two issues, Berkeley's position in the mind-body debate is untenable. After substance dualism, atheism no first to provide a self-will on the relationship between the mind and the body must look for different theories that does provide insight to the mind-body relationship. Philosophers who taught about God usually focus their work on the God of Judaism, Christianity, in Islam, but not all philosophers think about this God in the same way. Their approaches can be divided into two broad types: classical theism and theistic personalism. Classical thus emphasizes that God is one on whom everything else depends, and who himself doesn't depend on anything. They take this to imply that God is profoundly different from all other things, so different that there is constant need to purify our language, and that about God we can truly say, for example, that God is wise. But St. Thomas Aquinas cautions us that this term wise is not applied in the same way to God, into man. When we say that God is wise, we are extending the meaning of the word wise in something. Like the way we extend the meaning of the word Y. If we say a point is a line of zero length, theistic personalities in contrast hold that God is a person who differs from created persons all in degree, not in kind God wisdom.